Hello and welcome to Football Manager 2023. I'm as surprised as you are that it released this early, a full 5 days before the 2-week window was due to begin. Nevertheless, let's get going. So this is where we've landed for the beta save, which will last beyond the beta, let's be honest. I'll start by saying that. Like all my beta saves of years gone by, well, the last couple of years at least, I will be continuing this to a point of relative conclusion before the second one, probably with the January update involved in that second save. But Leeds United, we've done York, we've done Sheffield. About time I did the club in the location where I actually live. Ellen Road, of course, their stadium, where I got my vaccines. But irrelevant to this, but it's a club with history, a club that's back in the Premier League, of course. Media prediction is 10th. Trying to think where I predicted them now. You know what? That might not be far off where I predicted them, so I can't blame the game for that. Not gone quite as well as that, I don't think, so far. But anything above last season's 17th will be seen as an improvement and probably quite good, let's be real. Fierce rivals are the club that will not be named because they hate it. Superb training facilities, excellent youth facilities and adequate recruitment. It's a sentence that's very difficult to say. A transfer budget of 25 million isn't awful. I will be using the transfer window for this save. Obviously last year I disabled it for the purposes of not being able to use Newcastle's money before Newcastle actually had their money. But this time is kind of fine. I'm building upon the strategy they've actually begun already. And there is the team as a whole to begin with. Meslier in goal, a player I've had before, along with Strike, had them both at Hanover on last year. Dallas is a player that's entered my radar many times, although probably getting on a little bit now in terms of his age. Not awful. I presume he's still good for a couple of years, at the very least still. Junior left back, of course, is Junior Firpo, who I think I may have had at some point in a very older save, but unfortunately not quite as good as he used to be in Football Manager. Rocker, liberated from Bayern Munich. Adams similarly liberated from, I say liberated. Adams was a relatively key player, I believe Leipzig, but another Bundesliga team. Sinistera, obviously a talent that's been sort of on the fringes of getting this kind of move for a little while. Harrison, they've had a couple of years, and Rodrigo, they've had a couple of years as well. Of course, kind of wish this transfer obligations page had all of their transfers for this window as well, because pretty certain they're not the only players they've taken from the Bundesliga. We'll have a look at the full squad, of course. This is just an introductory episode, by the way, for reasons that I will explain once I get through these pages. Not just because it's what I normally do, but board culture, entertaining and attacking. Well, you know me, that's what I do. Develop the best youth system in the countries in the 5-year plan. Interesting. And whilst the media prediction is 10th, the season this one is established Premier Division, which I think basically means being that pack that aren't necessarily threatened with relegation but aren't threatening anything else. That kind of, 10th to 14th block. And then top off finish next year. Supporter. I haven't seen this before, by the way. This is my first time through it and I didn't watch anyone else do it. So supporter culture has their own club vision in the introduction. It's not just something I need to find out for myself. They actually show it as well, which is basically the same in terms of attacking, entertaining and develop youth players. They're in the other one anyway. Remain in the Premier Division, so their expectations are actually even lower. They just want to be remaining in the Premier League, which is basically why I said as long as they stay up, they're probably happier with anything better than 17th this time round. Be competitive against Man UFC. Be competitive against Chelsea. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't aware of that particular rivalry. Obviously, I know the Roses derby, but wasn't expecting that one. I'd have thought Forest would have been a rivalry to talk about. Do the press conference, do the inter-friendly, and sort that out. Oh, we actually do get the profile thing straight away. We don't need to go delving into things. I will just say there's no graphics being added just yet. I do have the graphics, I just didn't get it installed before the first save. I could have set up a separate save and got it all installed beforehand, but I wanted to get straight on this because it surprised me. So the faster I get this out, the faster you see it, the faster we can get on with things. So apparently only 12% of Leeds supporters are hardcore. Having lived in Leeds for the best part of a decade now, I think they've underestimated that. Core, 39, family, 15, fair weather, 18. I was intrigued by their definition of fair weather there because I'd have argued that's basically the same thing as hardcore. Speaking of Bundesliga, it appears the majority of our pre-season is Bundesliga. Of course, I need to get views in as well. But yeah, all the other things will be ready for the next time you see me. And that's now the time to explain how this is going to work going forward. In order to maximize my time in content creation, I will be streaming this live. I've mentioned it in the previous save, but you may have not have seen that by now. I will be streaming this save and I will be recording the episodes as I normally record them, a pair of games being the focus. I will not be putting the full streams into a highlight package. I will be recording select games out of that stream. which means basically if you want to see the behind the scenes of everything that happens in between, go join me on Twitch. The link will be down below. But do not fear, if you don't have access to that, then there will be regular episodes in the regular format. They'll just be recorded whilst I'm streaming, basically. I'll be open and honest with you. It's entirely just to minimize the amount of wasted time I have, effectively, during this process. But effectively what it means is you won't have any less content. There's still a save on Twitch. There's still content on YouTube. It's just the same process. Now, I am aware they have a whole bunch of injuries to begin with. Oh, Dallas is out for the full year. Yeah, he's 31. That's a shame. But part of the reason why I went to Leeds is... Oh, hello. Nope, this wasn't the reason. Oh, this is an accidental joy. I'm reunited with Sonny Perkins, legend of Exeter. If you didn't watch the last save, you do not know how important this man is to me. I say man, he's 18. Unfortunately, his potential ability only appears to be 3/maybe 4 stars in this particular Leeds squad already, so he doesn't appear to have the same kind of potential as he did last year. But still. Oh no, those were the only 2 Bundesliga players they nicked. But of course, Aronson from Salzburg is a promising talent. I was expecting him to have more potential ability, actually. I thought they might have loaded him up with a little bit more potential ability based on the way he's performed so far this season, but he has been exciting so far from what I've seen of Leeds' games. There's no faces yet. All the graphics, all the stuff will be done by the time I start streaming later, as this episode will go live. But yeah, effectively between Aronson, Sinistera, Tyler Adams, and players like Nonto, I'm going to go with a silent G, who does have potential. And Giabi, in this case, I won't go with the silent G. His potential isn't quite as good. I was expecting him to have more, considering he cost him 5 million. But yes, this is effectively for Leeds, life after Phillips and Rafinha. How can they rebuild from those 2 particular sales? Interesting that Nohan Kennett left, actually, a player that's kind of been around in previous saves, typically in higher championship, lower Premier League teams. He left to go to Hibs on a free this year, so maybe not quite as much potential in him this year. Of course, that happened in real life, but maybe he won't have as much potential normally. I know going to Hibs is necessarily an indication of what his potential will be, but I'm suspecting it's less this time around. I'm going to run with fairly standard 4-3-3, or... sorry, I've just fallen into the trap because they label it as 4-3-3. It's not 4-3-3, it's 4-3-2-1. Maybe I shouldn't do this formation just because of how much it annoys me that they incorrectly label it as a 4-3-3. 3 at the end means 3 strikers. They are attacking midfielders. It's 4-3-2-1. But with a 9-man bench normally, we've got 1 man who's about 3 days away in the form of Forshaw, so we do effectively have the full 11 and a 9-man bench available, probably at this point. A couple of players, obviously 4 people with major red injuries as things stand. We've got a squad. It's definitely a squad that needs to be developed. There appears to be a huge issue at left back, because with Firpo injured, there are literally none. I suppose they're utilising Dallas on the left-hand side more if he was fit, but he's injured more than Firpo is, so I'm not fully certain what the real-life Leeds do with left-back without looking it up. But Christensen can go there, and they do have a right-back in the form of Drama, who isn't awful, but an actual left-back would be quite nice, so I can actually use a left-footed player on the left side of defence. Christensen also has come from Salzburg. I think the reason why I thought there were more Bundesliga players was because of Christensen, who always went to the Bundesliga in last year's game. But Christensen appears to be very much the replacement for Dallas in the fact that he can play basically everywhere. There's definitely depth needed in certain areas. Left back needs another player because Firpo won't be out for the entire season. It's only 2 to 3 months, and of course the season will begin in a couple of months, so that's not too bad. The depth in goalkeepers is fine for the first, and of course there's actually squad planner now, and this is where you find your strength in depth. Actually, is there no actual general squad depth anymore? Because it's no longer in the squad page, it's not in the tactics page. I thought it was in the squad planner now, the full squad depth thing. This is the best we've got with only... I guess it depends on how many... No, it only goes to a maximum of 3, it seems, not like the full thing. Huh. Has that actually gotten worse in FM23 then? Has that gone backwards? As much as I like the squad planner as an idea going forward, and how useful it will be going forward, is this actually worse because it only shows me the top 3 now? As much as I appreciate being able to see what next season, the season after, for instance, it's kind of their prediction as how people will develop. If you look at this left back, 2 stars next year, 2.5 the year after that, is sort of factoring in progression of players, even Melier in goals getting better if you look. It's implying that Cresswell will develop into a 3-star centre-back as well. And obviously it's factoring in expiring contracts in the process. This is simultaneously better and worse. Of course, we won't see a lot of the extra... Why is this still 3 league matches? I swear they said they were ditching the 3 league match thing for this year's game. Because whilst there's no data, I thought they were allowing you to set it up. Why did it say the media prediction was 10th if we predicted 17th, by the way? Just thought I'd check this out before we got into anything. Why Fulham predicted 14th? And much as I kind of appreciate Fulham's start to the season, why is that squad rated the same as Brighton's? Why is it rated better than Palace, who have Elise, Eze, Zaha, and like genuine quality in their team? Fulham have got Mitrovic, and that's basically it. Like on the same level as those players, is what I'm saying, basically. Like Leeds loaned Dan James to Fulham, which I think should say something about the relative strength of those two squads. I'm worried about Fulham being overpowered, seeing that. I'm very worried about Fulham being overpowered. I'm kind of worried about Brighton being underrated as well, only 13th in the predictions. Newcastle have predicted the same as Arsenal's squad. I mean, Newcastle's my team, and even I think that's a bit, In terms of just squads, I'd have put Newcastle, Wolves and West Ham in the same boat, with Leicester just behind them because they've got aging players that haven't been replaced. My prediction video is there for people to watch. You can see how I think this is going to pan out. Some of it's very dramatically different, but that's not entirely based on just the strength of the squad. It's to do with the strength of the tactics and the planning and the way they play and things like that as well. And whether or not there's going to be injury crisis and how badly injury crisis would affect the team potentially. So there's a lot more factors than just straight up the strength of the squads in that. But even so, Arsenal are definitely underrated or Newcastle are definitely overrated, one of the two there. I predicted Newcastle to be 7th, so it's kind of fine that they are there. But not sure about a couple of those and what it says about how they've been rated in the game. But some fairly obvious glaring holes in the squad already. So next time you see me here on YouTube, they might have been filled in. If you want to see how they're filled in, then join me on Twitch because I will be streaming transfer windows for this, at the very least the first one. And then I'll be streaming all the games you don't get to see on YouTube. The link for Twitch will be down below. Do give a like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. You know by now how algorithms dominate our lives. Until next time, thank you for watching. Ta-ra!